Hi guys, welcome back to another hopefully interesting VCV rec video. I'm the KlirrFactor, smoking cigarettes and drinking beer, and today I want to talk about BitOSC by KlirrFactory. And first of all, I'm back from my favorite bar. It's like 2 or 3 in the night, and I'm suffering because we have like 28 degrees Celsius. I know most of you guys who will see this video in these days suffering like on first world problems like minus 10 degrees and snowstorms and all this stuff, okay? But yeah, everybody has its own problems. Now these days in the VCV rec user group on Facebook, there was an interesting kind of discussion about how real do several modules, especially filters, but other things as well, sound, yeah, how close to real hardware. And this is something that's really interesting, and I appreciate a lot the work of Volt modules or of Leonardo or of Lindenberg Research, who make very fine filters and very fine stuff that is very close to real hardware. Now, this oscillator or VCO is not close to any hardware, I hope, and let me show what it is, okay? BitOSC is in 1 to 8-bit digital VCO. This is written here, and when you start it, it looks like something like this, yeah. And when you bring down all these knobs to 0, it looks like this, okay? Now, let me try to explain the concept behind this. What we got here is a 32-step, or it's not step, it's segment, yeah? It's a segment VCO that makes you a waveform of 32 segments, okay? And the values of these segments are here vertical, coded in 8 bits. So you have values between 0 and 256, what is 8 bits, okay? Now, the first idea was to make like 32 knobs, or the possibility to move here around these bits, and you would get something close to, I think in Core Gadget there's a synthesizer called Kamata or something like this. But I didn't want to have 35 knobs because it would be really annoying to move 35 knobs. So the idea here is that we have these horizontal 32 segments on these knobs, and it's not 32, it's 24. Sorry, my first version was with 32, but the release is with 24. So now what you can do, you can set these single bits, and I show you that, okay? So let's set the first bit. Now normally the bit comes from right to left and all this stuff, but I found it easier to work, much better, much intuitive like this. Okay, so let's set the first bit, and you'll see we have 2 values. Now normally it will be a value between, in this case, 0 and 1. Now first this guy is normalized, so you always have 10 volts here, and it would be a hard DC offset if you would have now this guy between 0 and 1 or 0 and 5 volts. So these waveforms should be normally between -5 and +5, okay? And what we got here is a pulse wave, and yeah, you can set these bits here. You see? 2 different values. This is not very exciting, but this is where we start, okay? Now let's add a second bit. And now you see we have, let's see if we get this a little bit nicer. 1, 2, 0, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4 different values, okay? And so you can really construct your own waveforms. You see? Now it's 3-bit, this is 8 different values, 16 values, 32 values and so on, okay? So let's bring this, let's make a waveform, okay? Okay, now we have an 8-bit waveform here. And something that I found very interesting during this module is that at least only the last 3 or 4 bits here affect the sound a lot. You see, I changed the first bit and there's not a lot of movement, okay? Let's bring this a little bit down here. Maybe you don't hear that, but... And now if you see, when I move the first bit, there's only... Oh my god, yeah, I want this... see this nicely. Let me zoom in until the point where we get this really nice. Yeah, this is challenging. Okay, I don't get it. Okay, so you have to believe me that this is what I'm telling you. Now when I move here the first bit, there's not a lot, there's mostly no difference in sound, okay? And same here, and same here. Now you listen to this on YouTube, this is worst what I'm listening on my good headphones. Now here probably I can imagine a change in sound, and you see when I move this fader or this knob, there's little things happening here, and that's all because the next bit is double powerful, and now here you can really hear changes in sound, and this is more obvious. You see? So this is something very interesting for me, maybe not for you. Now BitOScillator has 2 different modes. This is the first mode, you see, okay? Let's come back to this mode, or 1 octave down. Now we have a split mode. The split mode does the following thing. I click split mode, and you see this waveform formerly was like chaotic all the time. Now in split mode, starting with split mode, the first 12 segments get normalized here between 0 and 5 volts, and the second 12 segments between -5 and 0. This is more like natural, or how most VCOs behave. Yeah, they don't behave that chaotic. They behave like that. You have one part of the waveform here and the second part here, and that tunes even better. And now this split mode has 2 modes again. I call the second mode revert mode. This knob or this input. What the normal split mode does is he takes this second half of the waveform and puts it down here between 0 and 5, okay? Now the revert mode works like a mirror, okay? So let me switch this. Let me see. Here we got this really nice thing, okay? So okay, I can't get it. When I switch this off, all this will get up 5 volts and will be here. And on the revert mode, this guy goes down here. You see? This one, okay? Now the first interesting input here, what you can do is with this attenuator of this input, you can change this split point. Okay, let me show this. You see? And here you even can see these 2 different modes. This is the revert mode. So this guy, what is -5 here, will be +5 here. Okay? Let me show that. Boom, it's +5, you see? When I go to the other mode, this guy only goes up here. Okay, you will see in a second. It's better just to be seen here. You have from -5 to I don't know what, and that will be the same distance here. I hope it's not too complicated, but at least only trust your ears, not your eyes. Yeah, how the difference is sounding. Okay. And yeah, of course this has a VC input, so you can change the modes to split mode, or when it is in split mode, the revert mode here, and you can change the split point with an LFO, for instance, like this. Okay, see? And it's something, yeah, you can do really interesting stuff, but of course we are switching between segments and you will have noises, okay? So there's no hardware sounding like this. Okay, I need a little beer. And a cigarette. Only by the way, these second row is only something like a fine-tuning for these to set these bits. So with this, if you go with command and this, you can set. Well, let's go to the upper bit. You can really set single bits. Okay, you see in the display there. Yeah. Now the next thing you can do is this shift part. You can shift single bits. Let me show this. Let's add a VCO with a square wave or with whatever, and now you can shift the first bit to the right or to the left. And how I explained, the first bit in this case doesn't yeah, you won't hear really the difference. If you go to this bit, now you see, now have real changes in sound. And let's use a second LFO to move the first bit. Okay, you hear, you see. Now you have this normalize button. This is very cool because you can set this to normalize, and now all triggers right from this input will be normalized to the input, or from this input, so only these guys are affected. Okay, this is very nice because normally you won't have 8 modulators. It's a lot, but you can change the values of the of this movement and the direction. So from left it shifts to the left, and right it shifts to the right. So this is this section, and when you yeah, plug out this modulation stuff, the shifted bits stay where they are, and so you have a reset button to reset the shifts. Okay, reset here, and you are back to your original waveform. I need more beer, and there's not a lot of things to explain. Now let's switch this off. Now here we have the manipulation area. It's called manipulate bits, but it's not only manipulating bits. The first button you have here, and all these guys you can control with voltage, like with on off, is kind of smoothing. Okay, so let's listen to that. Okay, you see, this is gonna smooth out the waveform, and when we zoom in, you see what's happening. Now we have this, yeah, this waveform, and now we are smoothing this out. Get more triangle stuff, okay? And splitting this, we get really interesting waveforms. Now at the end of this guy is something, I even don't know how to call it. I only press the button and you will listen to this. That makes like, it's not overtones, it makes like, I would call it double ramp, or I don't know, okay? that splits this moving thing out. When you switch off the smooth, you are back to nothing. These guys are together, but in a few cases this guy even affects these manipulation buttons or inputs, okay? Now the first interesting manipulation input is this guy. This is a simple flip, so it flips your waveform, okay? Boom. So every bit that was on is off, and every bit that was off is on, okay? And you can set this, of course, yeah, with a trigger, with whatever, and you get something like this. This is what we see here, okay? This is nice light show I do here, okay? There's nothing else. It's only to show you, hey, I'm so cool. Bit oscillator is flashing crazy around, okay? Second input here is an AND input. Now it's not, it's AND, how to explain? It calculates between the first and the second row and the second and the third row and so on. And in a few cases, you will see this in the demo videos. This one and this is an OR tend to kill the waveform. So let me see if I can do that right now. No, it doesn't matter. Only live with this information. This is OR. This is an exclusive OR. What is very interesting, and I show you why. Because when I use this guy here and I don't normalize this, I only will move the first waveform and I go to XOR. Look what's gonna happen with our waveform. And there's two reasons. First reason is this XOR, and the second reason is, and that's the same point why these guys, you see, and is killing your waveform, is always when you trigger one of those guys or one of those guys, the whole waveform is recalculated. And now with this waveform is recalculated with AND 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 AND, it goes to nothing or to all, like everything on or nothing on, and the same happens here. Sometimes, not always. That depends really. Yeah, you see? Now you have full waveform, all bits are on. The last of these guys, or this guy, is in knot. And the knot is very close to the flip, but it's not exactly the same, because the flip flips all the single bits, and the knot calculates between these single rows, yeah, between these, yeah, I call them rows, however. Now you know most things about bit oscillator. A few more little informations. You have frequency modulation, hard sync, soft sync, and I'm a big fan of soft sync, but here mostly hard sync works better because you have these crazy waveforms. Like this, you have this waveform is going through 0 to 0, but give it a try. However, it sounds interesting. You have Thru Zero FM, symmetry for Thru Zero FM, and you have a sub output. This is very close to the sub output from Morphous, and this sub output, yeah, you have to play around with this. It works mostly good in split mode. You see? Mostly, more or less. But in this normal mode, or in, yeah, like in this mode, sometimes it gets really crazy, okay? So this is something, this is not like 100% real sub oscillator, because what this guy does is analyzing or reacting on the real waveform. It's not reacting on your tune input, okay? And depending on your waveform, you get maybe scary results. Now, I think I explained mostly everything on BitOScillator or BitOS, so call this guy however you want. I hope you find it interesting. It will be available when you see this video on KlirrFactory.com. And yeah, this is the first version. If there are bugs or something, leave me a comment, at least in the forum at KlirrFactory.com. It's late. I had a couple of beers today. I'm back from my best bar. And so yeah, there is, as I know, no hardware that sounds like this. This is something I hope unique. And if you like it, yeah, it will be available for a few bucks. And I hope you enjoy it. And yeah, that's it for the moment. I need a couple more of beers and I have to do more videos. I have so much to do, but I crashed my hard disk like 2 weeks ago and I lost mostly everything. So yeah, we live in crazy times. You have snow, I have heat. And I will open a beer. You can stay here with me. Okay, this guy is opened. Cheers, guys. See you with my next video and have fun. Okay, I'm the KlirrFactor. That's it. Cheers.